G'day guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Wildkard. Thank you for watching the Wildkard Rugby Show. Like, comment, and subscribe. And yes, finally, I'm a little bit emotional, to be honest. And not because of the fact that we beat Wales. I knew that was going to happen. It's the fact that the Wallabies team actually looked like a proper test team tonight. I know. They actually had a structure, had a game plan, and everybody was working together. There was no 200 missed tackles tonight. And I know it's against Wales, but I mean, it's refreshing to not get flogged 40 points by another tier 1 nation. And yeah, so thank you, Joe Schmidt, for doing this for us, for literally coming out of retirement and putting his family aside to help us out. I really so grateful for what Joe Schmidt had done here for us. And not just that, he's done this without any of the international test players. He's picked only people from playing in Super Rugby domestically, not even players that wants to switch codes or are going overseas next year. None of those players are even considered. Carter Gordon, Eddie Jones' favorite son, not considered because he was going to rugby league. And yeah, he still did it. He still managed to pull this through with a pretty good looking rugby out there as well. So yeah, even with that being said, there was still plenty to be improved on. I thought the physicality was probably not quite there. Although the structure, the game plan was really looking quite good. Unlike the All Blacks tonight, look a little bit lost and very underprepared. The Wallabies clearly had a game plan. The players you can see that the players are working with each other and they knew exactly the areas that they needed to attack, whether it's a pod, whether it's a set move, whether it's the kicking game. Everybody knew the objective of what they're trying to achieve. And it was really good. Everybody was working together towards those goals very clearly and concisely. The set piece was quite dominant as well. Scrum, Tupou time. Every time he was in the scrum, it was just a penalty. And it was so good. Man, this guy's so good. And when Alatua kept on the scrum, just evened out. It was just immediately all the scrum dominance evaporated. Just unbelievable talent, Tupou, once again. He also scored a try tonight, so congratulations for that. Lineouts as well. I thought the lineouts might have been a bit of a struggle. For some reason, I felt that Nick Frost was probably the best lineout operator, and I was worried that maybe there's going to be a bit of an issue there, but no issues with lineout. I thought it was maybe one lineout lost here, I think in the second half, but overall it was very solid. The only thing, the big issue that the Wallabies has to address is the more defense. The Welsh, 100% credit to them. They were down a player to a yellow card for repeated penalties, and they decided to not take 3 points and went for the lineout and went for the maul. Not only did they score the try with the maul, but they milked the penalty try. And yeah, it was looking pretty bad for the Wallabies. There was another maul that went in. It hadn't it been for a obstruction from the Welsh player joining the maul from the side, it would have been 2 more tries against the Wallabies, and they just look absolutely unstoppable in that front. So that's something that Joe Schmidt really need to hammer down and look at. But then again, this is something that the more hasn't been a thing in Super Rugby because apparently it's boring. So even the best team in Australia, like the Brumbies, hardly use the more anymore. So this is definitely a weakness that is starting to show, the lack of practice in using and defending the more. Yeah, it's really starting to show a little bit, but I have confidence that Joe Schmidt will work to improve on that with the players. Outside of that, discipline is probably a little bit high for the Wallabies. The Wales had a pretty poor discipline at the beginning and then kind of stabilized that in the second half. The Wallabies crept up overall. But yeah, the Welsh team, really young team, like we've already talked about in the previews. There's 4 of their star players left at home, in addition to a handful of injuries to their key players. And this is not even the strongest team, in my opinion, that the Welsh could have put up for this game. The Warren Gatland still had a number of really big names left, not in the 23 at all. They are in the squad, what's his name? Gareth Davies, I think his name is, the number 9. So there's a bunch of players like that, and players like Tompkins. Nick Tompkins was coming off the bench. A lot of these more experienced players was left out of the starting team as well. So really big credit for this Welsh team to be able to really hang in there and getting themselves that, especially when they're down 14 players and still backing themselves to go for the lineout more, was really, really admirable. The Wallabies was really, really good at the breakdowns, was able to get some of those turnovers. The kicking game was quite good, was controlling the kicking game. And yeah, it was just really good to see a team that actually knows how to play rugby. What else can I say? So anyway, let's move on to the the match stats for the match. 3 tries to 2, 360 run meters to 312, 130 carries to 100. Turnovers conceded. Here's what I was talking about: the breakdown, the pressure. 18 turnovers conceded against Wales, 9 against the Wallabies. And I think most of these turnovers from the Wallabies were just like handling errors. Like they were able to build so much pressure in front of the Welsh try line a number of times, backing themselves for the try instead of taking the 3, and not able to execute because a bit of penalty, bit of knock-ons, and a bit of lack of urgency at the breakdown yielded the turnover, which I'm completely fine because that's what you got to do. You got to play rugby, and you got to assert your dominance, assert that pressure, and build that fatigue into the opposition. And yeah, I mean, really, like I said, I was really, really happy with the effort that the team put on tonight. 123 tackles made by the Wallabies, 13 missed tackles. Really, really well done. 191 for the Welsh, really well done themselves. Still only 20 missed tackles. And under Eddie Jones, this was like what, 30, 40, 35? Who knows, right? It was just, yeah, like a basketball score there on the tackle, missed tackle count. Kicks in play, 30 to the Wallabies, 24 for the Welsh. I thought the Welsh, maybe because of the fact that they have a younger players out of the 10 jerseys, so there wasn't too much tactical kicking out of the Welsh team. They were just more of like a box kicks and like long range kicks and try to go for those 50-22s. But there wasn't any crossfield kicks, that sort of stuff out of the Welsh. Whereas the Wallabies had a bit more variety. Hunter Paisami was playing almost like a second playmaker. In fact, he was playing like a second playmaker with some of those kicking games. I do think that the Wallabies, when they get the penalty advantage, they almost immediately go for the kicking option to try to get try to roll the dice and get a try on the board, which is the right thing to do. But I just think that maybe they can just settle that down a couple phases first and just really pick their opportunities, get that forward momentum and then do the crossfield kick. Would have been a much better, for much better result. Same with one of the kick I saw, Loan Olasio. There was a wide space out wide, 3-on-3. You could have just run the ball and used hands and really close to the try line, but he decided to kick and he kind of overcooked a little bit. But still, the idea is there, and they just need some polish to execute that up. 2 missed conversions by Noah Olasio. He missed one from in front, and the big times, big moments, high pressure, gets to everybody still. 100% for the Welsh side in terms of goal kicking. Like I said, here's the difference in kicking, right? 800 meters in kicking from hands, only 540 for the Welsh. Now, let's have a look at the lineouts. Only 1 lineout loss for the Wallabies, 4 for the Welsh. Something that was really well done by the Wallabies. It wasn't just like their own mistakes that led to this lineouts loss. Wallabies were able to disrupt quite nicely throughout the game to get those turnovers from the lineouts. Scrum, Wales lost 1 scrum. Tupou just literally destroyed the Welsh scrum after earning a penalty to allow the Wallabies to kick 3 points. And it was just absolute amazing. Tupou in tip-top form, and really, really good to see. I haven't seen his dominance for literally a number of years now due to injuries. And then penalties conceded, 13 against Wallabies, 11 against Wales. 13 is actually not too bad, but in international test matches today, if this was 3 or 4 years ago, 13 would have been fine. But in the test matches today, you need to really get that to 10 or less in single digits. Yeah, that's how good it is. It needs to be nowadays to really minimize those 3 points getting ticked over against you. 1 yellow card apiece. The one against Wallabies is for the penalty try against Fraser McWright, and the one against Wales is for repeated penalties against, I think, one of their props. I think it was Gareth Thomas, I think it was. Gareth Thomas that got the yellow card against Wales. Yeah. So, yeah, let's have a look at the... actually, it's only 1 try for Wales. Sorry, not 2, only 1 try. Because whenever there's a penalty try, it counts as 2. The system is a bit glitched. Just the way it is. Anyway, let's go through the recap and see what happened in the game. 2 minutes into the game, there was a no-arms tackle by James Slipper. Again, just bad technique. Kind of drops down to his knees and just uses his body to to trip over a player almost. Quite dangerous, I think. And it's a penalty, and the Welsh young guy Thomas kicks this one 3-0. I never seen him play before, so he was really impressive that kicked this one. This was like 40 meters out on a bit of a pretty big angle, and he kicked this through quite easily. 3-0 to Wales. 5 minutes into the game, the Wallabies, they had a penalty. Instead of taking 3, they backed themselves to the line out, and I was really, really happy and grateful to see that. Not just, oh, let's take penalties, guys. Oh my God, I get 3 points. So they went for the line out. They went for they executed the line-out's move. They crashed the ball center field, got another penalty advantage. It was a little bit clunky. Like the defense, like the handling wasn't quite there, but still they tried. With that penalty advantage, they're like, "Yep, we'll take the 3," which I was fine with. Like, you don't have to, at least you try. That's the main thing, right? So they get that 3 points on board, 3 points apiece. 10 minutes into the game, the Wallabies was building pressure inside the Welsh half a game. There was some really good kicking play out of Hunter Basami, just like from a penalty advantage. Eventually, it didn't lead to anything, but they go back for the penalty, and Noah Lolesio missed this one pretty much right in front. 12 minutes into the game, there was a scrum, and I think the Wallabies lost the ball just here, so there was a Welsh feed, and Tupou, tied hair time, just completely split down the middle of the prop and the hooker. He was able to get underneath the hooker and just literally split up the hooker and the loose air prop, and then pop the Welsh hooker's head out. And just really, really brutal, really good technique and textbook stuff, and just immediately gets a penalty. And then Nola Seal was able to redeem his missed penalty goal only 2 minutes later. 6 points to 3. 20 minutes into the game, another penalty against Wales. There was a warning against Wales, so the Wallabies took this opportunity to go for the line out, and they went for the line out. The ball kind of just like crashed in the field, and then just lots of pick and go. Eventually, Tanela Tupou, the big Tongan Thor, big leg drive, try time, 13 points to 3, and there was also a penalty advantage. So Gareth Thomas gets sent off for repeated penalties. 22 minutes into the game, the Welsh, with a play in the bin, had a penalty. And this was a definitely kickable penalty, not just outside the 22 and not that big of an angle. And then they're like, nah, we're going to go for the line out. So they went for the line out, and they went for the maul. And then the maul just absolutely ran through the Wallabies defense, and the maul was collapsed just before the try line. And the referee says, penalty try. Fraser McWright got a yellow card for collapsing the scrum. Yeah. And I was so impressed by this, because the Welsh had a play in the bin, and it was a forward, I'm pretty sure it was. And they were able to execute this without any issues and getting a yellow card in return. Yeah, 24 minutes in the game, so that was a big win for the Welsh. 30 minutes in the game, Lynn Williams got a 50-22. And and then just more scrum dominance before halftime, but eventually neither team was able to score before that. Second half, about 5 minutes in the second half, Tupou came off, and then the first scrum in the second half was pretty much just like an even immediately. No knocking on Alan Alatoa, but man, like, it's just huge difference once he came off. The scrum was just like every other scrum that you kind of would have been expecting. 46 minutes into the game, it looked like the Welsh had kicked the 10-point penalty. So I was a little bit confused. So the TV graphics showed that they got up 10 points for kicking a penalty goal, but no, there was a mistake. So it was 13 points to 13. Another Welsh penalty there. And then 49 minutes into the game, there was, again, Wallabies had a penalty. They did not just take the 3 points. They went for the try line, and they built 17 faces and just like fumbled the ball before the try line. So again, I really admire the effort, not really faulting them for that. And like I said, building fatigue will yield dividend later in the game. 52 minutes in the game, again, Wallabies just building pressure, nice crash balls, and then just building, they kind of like switched side a couple of times in the middle of the field, but eventually Filippo Daugunu went from the blind side swept up to the open side, or I guess the other way, open side, swept around to the blind side, quickly creating an overlap, and he just cuts through the defensive line with a bit of with that surprise, him adding himself surprise in the surprise into the attack line, and then he got tackled just before the try line, and then there was too much momentum, and he slid over the try line anyway. And it was really, really nice. 18 points to 3. And this, he hasn't played for the Wallabies for a number of years now. So it's really nice to see him returning with a smile and a try. 61 minutes into the game, the Welsh kicked another 50-22. 64 minutes into the game, the Welsh gets a penalty. And they played Warren ball. They did not back themselves to score those tries. They did kick the 3, so 18 points to 16, closing the gap to 2. And finally, 68 minutes, the guy that I tipped to score the first try of the game, scored the winning try for the Wallabies, and that is Tom Wright. So the ball kind of went out in the middle of the field to Tom Wright, and he just did a bit of dummy and straightened up his running line and just a little bit of footwork and went straight through the defensive line. And he ran down he was running down the field, and the number 12, what's his name, Greeley, was sweeping across to try to tackle him, and Tom Wright was just literally was dancing around so many times, and then Greeley just went completely overshot his run. And then, Tom Wright can cut back inside the field, scoring the winning try, 25 points to 16. And happy days for the Wallaby fan. So that is it, guys. And, thank you so much, Joe Schmidt, for making the Wallabies a proper test team again. Still a lot of work to do, but this is a really, really good start. And a lot of young talents out there as well for the Wallabies. And, Warren Gatland will have to bring probably a stronger team this week. But hey, we're going to be improving on this week's performance as well, especially with the line-out defense and the more defense. And what can I say? I think the Wallabies look a little bit more structured than the All Blacks tonight, to be really frank with you, albeit against a much easier team. But hey, I thought the All Blacks looked really lost. But let me know your thoughts, guys. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. And I'll see you guys later tonight for the Springboks game. And cheers.